When you think about coming into this year at this moment, what I want you to know is that you are a very advanced soul. If you are listening to me and you follow me and you resonate with me, you are a very, very, very old soul. And the reason that I would know that is because you would have shut this off by now. You'd have been like, no, not my thing. But because of that, I want you to take a second and just pause and just really fully hear the words that I'm about to speak over you. Hey, soul family. Welcome to the Alive and Awake podcast. I'm your host, Alicia Kay, and I have spent the last 20 years teaching people how to work with their wounds and overcome their greatest fears so they can learn how to thrive in a world where they were only taught to conform. Each week, we will dive deep into the practical, the spiritual, and the mystical so I can teach you how to do the inner work to know yourself, trust yourself, and eventually love yourself enough to create a world where you feel fully alive, awake, and free. So don't forget to hit that subscribe button and never miss an episode. Ready? Let's dive in. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of 2025. We have survived a whole year, and there are so many things to reflect on and to look back on. So, in today's episode, we're not only going to talk about what kind of intentions to set for this upcoming year, but also to look at what kinds of things that you broke through and the cycles that you were ready to change and shift out of in 2024. So, as we move into this new earth energy, it's a really exciting time. But if you are someone that is paying attention to anything that's going on in the media or anything that's infiltrating your feed, you may not be feeling that way. And you might be indoctrinated into like this state of fear and worry as we move into actually the energy of chaos in this upcoming year. So, this year more than ever is a time for us as light workers to be so centered and grounded into the truth of who we are as we move into this next phase of Earth's expansion. So you're going to be noticing what's happening, and it looks like it's a rebirth, but it also looks very scary in the outer world because this is a time where systems and structures and things are meant to be disrupted and meant to change. So you have to ask yourself, how grounded am I into the earth plane, into who I am and where I am and what I stand for and what I believe in, and grounded in love? Verse, am I really going to be like the tornado that's getting pulled into all of these directions and all these different belief systems and all this chaos and all this conflict as we work through the duality that lives on this earth plane, right? Our job is to hold our center, to be that grounding point in the center of a tornado and not be shifted and swayed and blown away and caught into all of this other energy that people are working through. If you are a feminine being, you've most likely already went through a lot of your own apocalyptic experiences in the last 3 years. Like for me personally, the last 3 years were the hardest 3 years of my life. I had to dig up my traumas and face myself and like figure out where I was addicted and codependent. And I had to work on forgiveness. And I had to go through so much of my own birth and resurrection that I can actually sit here and talk to you about it now, because we are on a global shift for humanity to wake up to the truth of their divinity. And so the disruption and the chaotic energy that you're feeling internally, with most likely your own emotional upheavals, your exhaustion, your body's in pain, you might be having ascension symptoms like bloating and cramping and like weakness. Like this is a time for us to tune in, to rest, to meditate, to journal, to reflect, and to set intentions for what we want to cultivate and what we want to call in this upcoming year. Now, if you've been listening to me and if you follow any of the spiritual beings out there on YouTube or any other platforms, you know that this is now the age where Pluto went into Aquarius. Now, what that means is that Pluto won't go into Aquarius again for another almost 250 years. That's a really long time. So let's break this down. And this is why I feel it's so important to actually take this year and this month to set those intentions that you want for the rest of the upcoming year. So we'll circle back to that in a minute. But when you think about the planet of Pluto, and I'm no expert, but what I do know is that Pluto is a planet of death. And that sounds scary, right? Because it is meant for things to get disrupted, it is meant for things to die. Think of it as this energy that is meant to break up all of your dense emotion, all of your fears, all your insecurities, all the ways that you place security onto external things or people or objects, and not within your own sovereign self. So it's meant to disrupt that so that you can connect more to your true infinite self. And Aquarius is the sign of freedom. So we have the planet of death and the sign of freedom that are merging together for the next 20 years. This is a big deal, right? So, what needs to die in you so that you can feel more free and more like your authentic, true self, living in alignment with your highest state of joy, energy, expansion, love, freedom, abundance? All of this is our birthright and it is available, but not if you don't choose to work through the lies and the disbelief and the fears of what is keeping you tied to this 3D matrix of reality that is meant to keep you in immense suffering. I mean, if you look at it right now, and you just look at what's on the media out there, mind you, like this is not something that is allowed in my home. Like my son, if he knows what the news is, he knows what the news is from his father's house. Like it is not allowed in my house. One, because when I watch it or I see it or I hear about it, I feel this energy come over me where it's like, yeah, that's an illusion. I can see how there's things that are being done and there's things that are being said, and we're not going to get into what those are, but that are meant to keep you in fear, that are meant to keep you not thinking for yourself, not challenging what you're seeing, not challenging what you're reading, not challenging how it feels in your body after you tune into something like that, right? It is meant to keep you stuck and sucked in to this world of form that is making you essentially go chaotic inside. It's causing all this panic and anxiety and worry and separation. And it's essentially like, keeping you into the polarity of intense fear, intense love. Like you have to embody both. Yes, acknowledge it, recognize it, know what it is, and also speak the truth of what you do have control over and what you are capable of. Fear isn't the way, right? But your intuition and your internal guidance is. So when you think about coming into this year at this moment, what I want you to know is that you are a very advanced soul. If you are listening to me and you follow me and you resonate with me, you are a very, very, very old soul. And the reason that I would know that is because you would have shut this off by now. You'd have been like, no, not my thing. But because of that, I want you to take a second and just pause and just really fully hear the words that I'm about to speak over you. You are a very old soul that chose to incarnate into this moment, into this time in history that was prophesied 100 years ago, where there would be a time called the golden age of miracles, where humanity would start to massively wake up to the truth of their divinity. Your oversoul chose to be in this moment with me right here, right now. There is nothing you have to fix or change or do or be more perfect or prove yourself. It's already your divine destiny, and you are already on that path. So, what that means is you are here to be a part of the mass awakening here on the planet, where people are starting to realize that there's more to life than what we've been told. We have been in spiritual amnesia, we have been asleep or walking zombies to the dark reality and density that is essentially controlling the information that we're allowed to see, receive, allowed to have. And we are here to find information from other sources, from other channels, from podcasts. And there's a reason that the internet is on a mass explosion so that we can be our own seekers for what feels true to our soul. So, when it comes to this new year in 2025, this is why I feel like it is so important for us to actually take intentions seriously. I can't tell you how many clients I've had over the last 2 days that came into my office. And it's like, oh, just another year, not a big deal. It's just another day. And I'm like, yeah, I get it. I used to say that when I wasn't spiritually awake too. And when I didn't realize that I actually was the conscious creator of my reality and my life, and that what I'm actually putting out there is a self fulfilling prophecy. So when you don't yet take ownership of the fact that you are a creative being and that you are here to create your own reality based on your desires and your interests and what your heart wants, and you don't take responsibility for that, and you just flippantly say, this is just another year that I'm going to leave to chance, well, guess what's going to happen? More suffering, more pain, more victimization, more feeling like a martyr, that you have no control over what's going on and what's happening around you. And that is just not the truth. So I invite you to really take a look at this question: what needs to die in me so that I can feel more free this year? What is burning out my energy? Where am I overextending and overexpending myself? And where am I putting things into my body, whether that's people or substances or situations or work, that is draining my energy? And if I did have the paintbrush to paint a new reality or new canvas for this year, what do I want to cultivate more of? What do I want to embody? How do I want to show up in the world so that people know that the way that I'm living and how I'm being and how I'm existing is different, so that they can be curious, so that you can fall in love with yourself as the beloved child of God, as the beloved child of the creator of the universe, as the beloved child of Mother Earth. Whatever you want to call it, whatever entity or being or power you believe in that is bigger than you have to, that energy inside of you, to create and cultivate whatever it is that you want this year. But you have to be responsible for your energy and what you're putting your energy into. And so for me, I had to make a list where I was like, when it comes to like my family and my son, what again needs to die in that relationship so something new can take root? And the first thing that came to me intuitively was less video games, more connection. Full disclosure, I got super comfortable on Saturday mornings because he's a child now that can stay home alone, of going to the gym in the morning at like 7, 8:15, kind of getting there before he wakes up, and then allowing him to stay on it like 1 or 2 hours after I get home because I have things to do. And it, you know, became almost like this babysitter because he doesn't have a lot of time and that's what he wants to do. But I do know that the more time he spends on that screen, the less we feel connected. And so one of my commitments to myself and to my son for this year is putting more parameters around that on the weekends, just because I don't want anything else to parent my child. To be honest, I see the way that it's becoming an obsession. I understand that it's the way that kids communicate and all of those things, and there's no judgment around that, right? Like, we are, again, the conscious creators. But when we judge ourselves, then we look at ourselves like we're less sovereign, or that we're not living right and that we're living wrong. And that's not the goal here. The goal is how do I want to show up? What type of connection do I want to have? Yeah, I want to take more walks in nature. I want to play more. I want to have more in depth conversations. I want to have a car where he's not attached to my phone or attached to a screen. And so that's one of the intentions. When it comes to your family, your children, your partner, how do you want to show up differently? What do you want to take practice of? What do you want to cultivate? Because the feminine is the energetic, and it is your energy that shifts the whole parameters of a room. So we have to be mindful of what intentions we're trying to cultivate when it comes to the people that we absolutely love the most. Maybe something needs to die in a different way, and you need to set better boundaries, or you need to say no, or you need to stop overextending yourself for other people. And you need to put more self loving care into your own energy and really take more time for self reflection and getting very clear on what is an absolute full body yes for you and what is an absolute full body no. Because if it's not a full fuck yes, it's a full fuck no. And that's just how I have been really choosing to live more in alignment with my divinity so that I can set myself up for success, and which is what I choose all of my clients to do. And it's hard to shift those patterns, and it's hard to make changes. And sometimes, yes, you'll feel a little bit lonely, but you have to understand that the best relationship that you are meant to have in this lifetime is the one that you have with yourself. So, where are you leaking your energy, and what are you saying yes to that you know that you need to start saying no to, even if it's difficult for you? And then the next category that you may want to look into, which I certainly did, was my health. What am I doing to my body that is a hard no for me in 2025? And one of those things, is, I'll be honest, is alcohol. It is a poison. And I've known this for a really long time. I'm super healthy. I'm very into like eating great foods, and I'm in amazing shape, and I have no issues with my health physically. But when it comes to my energy and the goals that I have for my business and my career and this podcast and my clients and how I want to show up, I don't want to put anything in my body that I know is going to rob me of my energy. So last year, I made the commitment to try to go a full year, and I went 6 months, and it was the best 6 months that I felt energetically. I felt clear. I had great workouts. I was eating amazing food and doing all of these things where I wasn't having these blood sugar crashes, and I wasn't as exhausted, and I just felt at an all-time high. And then on my 25th high school reunion, I decided to have one celebratory drink with my friends. And then I just started slowly adding it back in, not in a way that it was a problem, because the truth is like, I freaking like to drink wine. I actually like to have an old fashioned, and I enjoy that. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if it works for you. But for me personally, with the goals that I have and where I want to go and how I want my body to feel, it cannot be a part of my life in this next year. It just can't. Like I've already proved to myself that I can have fun without it. I've already proved to myself that I don't need it. It's just this thing that we do that has been weighing on my consciousness for far too long that I just don't want it to be there anymore. So when it comes to your health, what kinds of things are you putting into your body that are robbing you of your powerful, feminine, magnetic, vibrant energy? Is it a food? Is it processed sugar? Is it carbs or gluten? Like I've recently learned about myself, like, oh my gosh, no wonder I'm feeling like brain fog and I have all this stuff. Like I'm actually in my 40s developing an intolerance to gluten, which is so crazy, which may not be there for a while, but it's one of those things that we need to cut out when our body is clearly communicating to us what it needs. Do you need to make a commitment to eat more greens and foods that are from the earth? Because the earth is life giving energy, and anything that is processed is anti life energy because it's not nourishing you and it's not filling you up. So, there's these things that we can do when it comes to our health. And especially being a woman, like we need a lot of protein. Maybe it's just I'm going to increase my protein, this year and see how I feel. Maybe it is to build more muscle, or maybe it is to, get a workout in a self loving way, not to beat yourself up just because you want to feel good. You want to feel confident. You want to feel strong. You want to feel in your highest vibrational state. And we have so much more capability. Right. We have so much more capability to live in a higher vibrational state if we choose a little bit more self discipline as the feminine and tune a little bit more into our divine masculine sides of our energy to say no to certain things that we know are robbing us of the way that we want to show up and the way that we want to treat ourselves with love, right? Self care and health is loving this divine vessel that your oversoul chose for you. Like it architected every single detail of your body and of your life. And our ego just wants us to damage it and beat it up and not care about it and just think that we're supposed to live in the moment and we are supposed to live in the moment, but like, it doesn't think long term about long term consequences and health and the things that we have more control over than we believe. So what is it? What is it that that you want to do that you just haven't made the commitment to do this year? I encourage you just to do it because you will feel so much better about yourself when you show up for yourself. No one's going to do that for you. Right. And when it comes to your career, what is it that you want to learn? How do you want to grow? How do you want to serve? If you're in a job that you hate, God, angels, universe, whatever you choose to pray to, show me a different way. I'm open to receiving guidance for new opportunities in my life where I can show up in my highest vibrational state and use my God given gifts to make an impact on this world. This job is no longer serving me. It is draining me. And yes, I am grateful for it. And I am thankful for the ways that it provides for me and my family. But I am ready for something new. What do you want to learn? What do you want to, explore? Is that human design? Is it, the gene keys or the gene codes? Is it, something more esoteric or holistic or spiritual? Is it more about Jesus, or is it more about this, other ascended masters that came to serve us that religion kind of botched? Like, what is inspiring you and what is calling you when it comes to your own career and spiritual growth and expansion? Because when you are learning and you are soaking up knowledge, you are contributing to the energy of the planet because you start to feel good. Right? When you feel good, there is a ripple effect for miles attached to your energy that we obviously can't see with our human eye, but it can be felt on the earth plane and by anyone that's in contact with you. So I encourage you to do the thing. Like for me, career wise, like I have had, no lie, I would say that I'm somewhat of a procrastinator, but I'm a manifester by human design. So I follow my intuitive pings, and I'm really working hard at not shaming myself for not completing tasks or books or courses or things like that, because I just know that the way that my brain works is like I follow those intuitive hits and those intuitive pings. But anyways, I have this course about like this divine, like psychic training that I've had for 3 years and I've never opened the course. And so for 2025, I am completing that psychic development training because I just know it's calling to me. In the last 3 years, I couldn't do that because I was healing my traumas. I was building my coaching business. I was starting this podcast. I was like really infiltrated into a lot of things, but I've created enough space in my energy to really pay attention to that and to cultivate that now and to put that into practice. So, what is it for you? What are your spiritual goals? What are your career goals? What are your business goals? You have to set those intentions and then develop a way to track it because we'll always fall back into old habits. And this is why New Year's resolutions don't work because anything that you're doing that you're not keeping track of and you're not accountable for will never manifest in the physical because we have a primary default mode and default operating system that we will always fall back into. So pick a day in the calendar. Maybe it's a Friday, maybe it's a Monday, maybe it's a Sunday night, maybe it's a Monday morning. I don't care what day it is, but you have to make a commitment that on this day and on this hour, I'm going to look at the goals that I set for this week or the goals that I set for this month and see how on track I am. See where I slipped up. See where I'm starting to make excuses. See where I'm telling myself that things are too hard or I'm falling back into my comfort zone because change is really fucking uncomfortable, right? Are you going to give into the discomfort and fall back into the familiar so that you're right back in the place you are again next year? Or are you actually going to take responsibility for the fact that you're the creator of your life and you're the only one that can change what you want to change? Right? That is the one thing that has gotten me to the place that I'm at. And then last but not least, like, what do you want to cultivate when it comes to love and partnership and where you are, right? Are you like me, where you're waiting for your highest divine person to come into human form because you, on a soul level, know that you're a twin soul and like that's the work that you're here to do? Or are you in a relationship right now that feels absolutely dead and that's what's ready to die so that you can feel more free? Like, what is it and where are you at when it comes to being your most highest vibrational self in partnership? Because if it's not life giving, it's soul crushing. And we have to be able to do the hard things. So I really hope that this podcast resonated with you. Next week, I'm going to be diving in deeper into a part 2 of the Christ Consciousness podcast. I felt like I had so much more to say, but I was rushed on time. I wanted to get something out there, for the holidays. And so I'm going to be doing a deeper dive into Jesus the Christ and the consciousness that he embodied and what he's teaching us and how I use his guidance in my everyday life to be the person that I am today. Yeah, so make sure you tune into the first one if you haven't heard that yet from last week. And really start this year in this new earth energy with excitement and with deliberate, disciplined intentions. As the feminine, we have to learn to channel our inner masculine a little bit more in a healthy, not forcing, pushing, exerting way, but in a way where we feel really integrated and balanced inside. So if you are someone that is ready to dive heck yes in and that you want support from someone who is walking this path, who has 20 years of experience doing this with clients individually and has also done her own inner work, then that is me. I am launching my 6-module online course coming soon at the end of January, where I am going to be teaching you live in a intimate coaching container where you get to ask me questions. And we're going to go through 6 modules with 6 workbooks. Module 1 is about winning the war on your worth, how to reclaim your worth as a divine feminine being and not look for external validation from anyone outside of you so you can feel confident in who you are. Module 2 is winning the war on your consciousness, on this inner critic and this inner adversarial voice that wants to sabotage you and wants you to feel bad about yourself and wants to shame you. So, we're going to teach you how to work with that voice that keeps coming in and is really trying to sabotage your progress and sabotage how you feel about yourself. And then module 3 is the war on your emotions. So there is a war going on with the feminine where we have been taught that we're not supposed to feel and that we're not supposed to trust our emotions and that we have to hide everything that's going on with inside of us. And so we're going to be talking about how our emotions are our superpower and how they're sacred and how to rebuild trust with your emotional energetic system in your body. And then module 4 is winning the war on your sacred voice, on how to speak your truth and how to ask for what you want and set those sacred boundaries so that you can feel empowered in your relationships and you can feel empowered in who you are and what you believe in and what you want to say and how you want to speak without the fear taking over. And then module 5 is one of my favorites. It's winning the war on your magnetic divine feminine power. So the feminine is magnetic. We attract what we want through our energy. And we're going to talk about the forces out there that tried to dim our power down and how when we are in that essence, things come to us organically. And I'm going to teach you how to cultivate that within you so you can attract what you want this year. And then we're going to close it out with module 6, which is winning the war on co creation and manifestation, teaching you how to access those desires of your heart and plant those seeds for what you want to cultivate, not only this year, but for the next decade, so that those seeds can take root and that you can trust and know that all of your manifestations and visions are going to come true. So the course is called A Course for Divine Feminine Awakening, Winning the War on Your Worth. And I am so excited to get that out to you. And if a course isn't your thing and you don't feel like you have time to do that, book a call with me and see if it makes sense to work one on one. This is the shit that I'm passionate about. And I'm so excited to help every person out there that needs it to wake up to the truth of how powerful and worthy and capable you are. So if you don't have my newsletter yet, go ahead and subscribe to that or keep listening to the podcast so you can get real-time updates on when that course is going to become available or what the options are to work with me one-on-one. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and to like this video and share it with someone that you know who is also wakening up to their spiritual path. I love you so much. I can't thank you enough for the support. Tune in for the rest of this year where we're going to have some high level guests and more inspiring topics.